Industry in North Carolina has been booming in recent years with little to no regulation.
Some businesses are policing themselves until lawmakers give them some framework. News 12's Rebecca McGann is here now with how the lack of regulation is also frustrating law enforcement.
Some in the hemp-derived THC industry are trying to break the stigma surrounding these psychoactive THC products, but their efforts get set back when next door there could be a vape shop selling illegal marijuana disguised as legal hemp.
Smells exactly the same, it tastes exactly the same, it almost does exactly the same stuff.
Law enforcement's job got significantly harder when hemp was legalized and marijuana lookalikes became widely available.
We have had a few sheriff's deputies come in. We have had local New Bern PD come in. We've been compliant with everything that they need.
Major David McFadden with the Craven County Sheriff's Office tells me they'll have deputies request samples from vape shops to be tested for illegal levels of Delta-9 THC. That level is greater than 0.3% concentration.
Avazyme was originally founded as an agriculture and food testing laboratory, catering essentially to the entire food value chain from farm to fork.
This is Volker Bornman, founder and CEO of Avazyme Labs. After winning a state contract, Avazyme became one of the biggest private evidence labs in North Carolina and has tested between 30 to 50,000 marijuana samples.
I would say more than 95% of the material, the evidence samples that we have tested, turned out to be marijuana. Only a very small percentage, usually from seizures in like vape stores, they sometimes have true hemp samples.
If an evidence sample comes back as hot or above the legal limit, a store owner could be charged with felony offenses of selling and possessing marijuana. Though UNC Chapel Hill professor Phil Dixon says it's often difficult for these charges to stick, especially if the evidence is just above the legal limit.
It's hard to show that the store owner knew the product was illegal. Our law requires that it is knowing possession of controlled substances, and that's usually presumed, like, hey, you've got a bag of drugs in your pocket, we presume you know what that is. But if you come forward and say, actually, I really didn't know, I had a good faith basis to believe this was a legal product, the state then has to rebut that.
For over a year, the NC General Assembly has been trying to clear the hemp industry of bad actors in both manufacturing and retail. Most recently, legislators introduced House Bill 563, a bill that would regulate the sale and distribution of hemp-derived products.
And it puts standards in place, whether it be testing standards, milligram standards. It puts compliance standards in place for manufacturers and also retailers.
Representative John Bell is the House Majority Leader and president of Astera Labs, a company that manufactures hemp products. He tells me HB 563 passed unanimously through the House and through the Senate committees, but before it could get to the governor's desk, the Senate Rules Committee Chair Bill Rabin of Brunswick County added in the Compassionate Care Act, which would legalize medical marijuana. With that new addition, any chance of getting the hemp regulations passed quickly died out.
I feel like from a legislative perspective, we'll be able to work those out. Hopefully by the end of the year. If not, we'll come into the 2025 session and we'll put the same bill forward with just the CBD and hemp regulations.
In the meantime, both Representative Bell and Oglesby will continue to push for regulations, standards, and additional training for law enforcement.
We have an opportunity here to have a robust and growing industry here in the state of North Carolina. And the only way to do that is to have proper regulations in place, which is what this bill does.
It's across the board the same. It would be a lot easier.
Now, when I was speaking with these industry leaders, we got in the weeds about exact testing, how some of these products are made, and the problems law enforcement faces when differentiating between hemp and marijuana. If you're interested in learning more, we'll have the full interviews on our YouTube page. In the studio, Rebecca McGann for News 12.